Hey, what's up, folks? Knicks fans in particular. Tough loss today to the Miami Heat. The 1 o'clock game featured on ABC. 95-83 was the final score. I think you got to take two things away from this game. And the first one is this: J.R. Smith, you are my man. You're one of the best players to watch in the NBA. You could fill it up with the best of them. You have the ability to always shoot your team into the contest. You have a remarkable ability at being able to score off the dribble. You are a very underrated passer. You are active on defense. You hustle your tail off. You are somebody that has the ability to accelerate to the rim and score on a contested defender or in transition. You still have an athletic ability that is at the top and the pinnacle of the best league in the world. You are somebody that is fun to root for, and you are incredibly exhilarating to watch. But when you make an acrobatic dunk in the middle of the fourth quarter to put your team up by 4 points, why would you egg the Miami Heat on? Why wouldn't you get back on defense and do the fundamental, basic thing that most basketball players know? Forget the fact that you happen to be in the NBA. You egged on the crowd, and ultimately you instigated the Miami Heat. You showed them up. You put your hands in the air. You waved them like you just didn't care. But while you were waving, to the fans in particular, it was Dwayne Wade doing a wave and blowing right by you and scoring on the other end and getting the Miami Heat right back in the game. And from that point forward, the Heat ended up going on an 18-3 run. So you really got to think about your actions and how those actions are going to trigger emotion from the other team. Specifically the other team in the Miami Heat that are, I understand they're 14-10 on the road, haven't looked great on the road, but they are still the second best team in the Eastern Conference. A team that is trying to catch Chicago, and a team that also is one game removed in the loss column, right behind the Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs. They have enough motivation. You don't need to give them any more. You guys were down by 11 points in the first quarter. You came all the way back. Why instigate? Why deride and mock the Miami Heat by celebrating on an acrobatic dunk to just put you guys up by 4 points, by the way, and then to allow the Miami Heat to get right back in the game because of your celebration and your charades, you sagged back on defense. It took you a while to get back, and Dwayne Wade had a clear path to the basket. That is unacceptable, J.R. Smith. You've been in the league for 8 years. You're one of my favorite players to watch. You make this league what it is. You're exciting, you're entertaining, and you're talented. But there's also a time and place for that celebrating and that excessive showiness. And it certainly isn't when you put your team just up by 4 points with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter in a very highly intense playoff atmosphere type of game. You got to know better than that. You got to know better than that, J.R. Smith. You've been in this league for 8 years. That's the first point I want to make. The second point I want to make is this. The Knicks lost by 8 points, right? What did Miami have that the Knicks didn't have? It's very simple, folks. They had a roster that was healthy. The Knicks were missing their second and third leading scorers on the season. I love Baron Davis, but Baron Davis in his 13th season is not in a position to be a starting point guard for a championship contending team. This ain't 2002 Baron Davis. This is 2012 Baron Davis, who admittedly said that he could not dunk a basketball. This is the same guy 5 years ago that had one of the most spectacular dunks in NBA playoff history when he went to the rafters and slammed it down the throat of Andrei Kirilenko. We all remember that dunk. If you didn't, I suggest you go to YouTube right now and checking that stuff out, because that was a marvel. That was an incredible feature to watch. A 6'2 point guard, and that's kindly listed, by the way, going up and up and up and dunking over one of the premier defenders, Andrei Kirilenko, in the league at the time. He's not in a position to start. Jeremy Lin, I understand he had struggles. He was getting fatigued, but he is your starting point guard. He's your third leading scorer. Amari Stoudemire is your second leading scorer, and he's not going to be back till Wednesday with the bulging disc in his back. And then you have Jeremy Lin with the knee surgery, who, from all reports, is said to not be back until the second week of the NBA playoffs at a minimum. And that's a favorable report. So I think if you're the Knicks and you're Carmelo Anthony, a guy that outplayed LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh, a guy that went for 39 points, and we're just talking before the fourth quarter. That's how effective he was. He had the ability to get to where he wanted on the floor. He had the ability to take it off the dribble, make Shane Battier look like it was Shane Battier, who was 7 years old, not 37 years old. I'm just kidding, Shane. I know you're not that old. He had the ability to blow by Dwayne Wade, do that little hesitation dribble at the left elbow, and then extend himself and accelerate to the rim. And we forget how strong Carmelo Anthony is. His ability to finish at the rim and get that ball on the glass and create contact and ultimately orchestrate a three-point play is an incredible ability and knack that this guy has had his entire career. Mike Woodson has found and pushed the magic button with Carmelo Anthony because he's playing some of the best ball of his career. He is playing like the all-star, the premier all-NBA player we were accustomed to seeing when he was with the Denver Nuggets, and he had that career year in 2008-2009 when they were on the brink, I thought, of being able to beat the Lakers. Of course, taking the first game at home against LA. I thought they could have, easily taken Game 6 and might have pushed Lakers to a very contested Game 7. So we are talking about a Carmelo Anthony that is rejuvenated. He's tired of hearing about him being the coach killer. Now Dwight Howard has ironically acquired that label. But it was Carmelo Anthony who was receiving incredible backlash and incredible condemnation and even some defamation. But it is Carmelo Anthony that proved himself to be the best player on the court against the Miami Heat. So that's a great sign if you are the New York Knicks. And like I said, this is a team that is coached by a very talented skill master in being able to not just get his players in a position to win, but the ability to know the player's personality because he played in the NBA. And that, of course, is being Mike Woodson. Mike D'Antoni just couldn't speak the player's language. He was never an NBA player. And I know there's been great coaches like Auerbach, of course, and even Van Gundy if you want to throw him in there. But I think more often than not, a coach will be tuned out, mainly because, listen, you're an all-world player, and you got to hear from a guy that never even laced up the shoes in your league. And Mike Woodson has that going for him. And I think he also really knows how to balance out the yelling style and know when to back off and let the players take the reins of the team. I'm excited if you're a Knicks fan, J.R. Smith. I love you as a player, my man, but you've got to grow up. Again, folks, you're listening to Sports with Shep. I'm David Shepard. I appreciate you guys listening. We have a lot of excitement, and what is going to unfold before the NBA playoffs hit us, we don't know. But I'll tell you what I do know. I'm going to come at you with my pick for MVP in tomorrow's episode of Sports with Shep. I think we can finally begin to talk about it, and my answer may actually surprise a few of you. Folks, I appreciate you listening. Thank you for your time. Hope everybody had a great weekend, and I'll see you next week, guys. Thank you so much.